The distress signal reached Earth on a cold November morning, crackling through the void like a dying star's final breath. Kiza stood in the command center of the Terran Defense Initiative, her dark eyes fixed on the holographic display. The message played again, translated from the Velocian language into broken English. Please. Anyone. The Krath swarm comes. We are not warriors. We beg mercy. Another one, muttered Commander Hayes, his weathered face grim. That's the 5th peaceful species the Krath have targeted this cycle. Kiza's jaw tightened. The Velocians were scholars, artists, philosophers. They'd contributed more to galactic culture in 2 centuries than most species managed in millennia. And now they were being hunted. Response time, she asked. 48 hours if we push the new drives hard. Council says we need authorization first. Screw authorization. The voice came from behind them. Nick emerged from the shadows of the doorway, his combat armor still scorched from the last deployment. We're going, Commander Hayes sighed. Lieutenant Colonel Nick, you can't what? Let innocent people die while bureaucrats debate? We both know what the Krath do to populations that can't fight back. Nick's blue eyes blazed with controlled fury. I've seen the aftermath. I've walked through their kill zones. Kiza met his gaze. They'd served together for 5 years, ever since humanity had stumbled into the wider galaxy and discovered a cosmos that didn't know what to make of Earth's particular brand of savage protectiveness. Most species had evolved past their violent phases. Humanity had simply learned to aim it better. He's right, Kiza said quietly. Prep the fleet. I'll handle the council. The Terran Wrath dropped out of FTL 36 hours later, accompanied by 4 sister ships. They emerged at the edge of the Velocian system to find exactly what they'd feared. A Krath harvester fleet, massive organic vessels that looked like nightmares given form, already beginning their assault on the defenseless colonies. Visual confirmation, reported the tactical officer. 14 Krath bioships. They're using spore weapons on the surface. Civilian casualties estimated in the millions already. Nick stood on the bridge beside Kiza, his expression carved from stone, broadcast on all frequencies. Let them hear us. Kiza nodded to communications. Her voice, when she spoke, carried the weight of 10 billion humans behind it. Krath Swarm, this is Captain Kiza Chen of the Terran Defense Initiative. You are hereby ordered to cease hostilities and withdraw immediately. The response came in the form of a psychic scream. The Krath's attempt at intimidation. Several bridge officers flinched. Kiza didn't blink. We're detecting laughter in their biosignatures, the xenopsych officer reported. They think we're bluffing. Nick smiled, and it wasn't a pleasant expression. They don't know us yet. Let's educate them. What the Krath didn't understand, what most of the galaxy struggled to comprehend, was that Earth had spawned its dominant species in a crucible of ice ages, predators, plagues, and endless competition. Humanity had clawed its way to the top of the food chain on a death world, then looked at the stars and decided to take that fight further. The other species had evolved diplomacy first, violence as a last resort. Humans had evolved violence as a survival mechanism, then built civilization on top of it. They hadn't forgotten the old skills. The Terran Wrath struck first. Kiza's fingers danced across her tactical display. Launch kinetic interceptors. Pattern Omega-7. The Krath ships moved to engage, their bioweapons priming. They'd destroyed dozens of species with the same tactics. But they'd never faced an enemy that had spent millennia perfecting the art of war. Nick commanded the fighter wings, his voice calm over the comm. Remember your training. They're organic ships. They think, they feel, they can be hurt. Show them what fear means. The human fighters moved like a school of piranhas, coordinated and merciless. They exploited every weakness in the Krath formation, every evolutionary vulnerability the swarm had never needed to correct. Within 20 minutes, 3 Krath bioships were burning. The psychic screaming changed pitch, confusion, then the first hints of concern. They're trying to retreat, Tactical reported. Negative, Kiza said coldly. They came here to slaughter innocents. They don't get to leave. Nick, execute Protocol Reaper. Nick's fighters regrouped, forming a perimeter. The larger Terran ships activated weapons that made the Krath's bioweapons look primitive. Railguns that could punch through a moon. Plasma lances that burned at stellar temperatures, and worst of all, hunter-killer drones programmed with humanity's most vicious tactical algorithms. The Krath swarm, apex predator of 36 conquered species, learned what it meant to be prey. When it was over, One Krath ship remained, crippled but intact. Kiza allowed it to flee, ma'am. The tactical officer questioned. Let it go, she said quietly. Let it tell the others what happened here. Let them know that the sheep have wolves now. Nick approached her station, fatigue evident in his eyes but satisfaction in his voice. Velosian government is broadcasting their thanks. They're asking how they can repay us. Kiza thought of all the peaceful species scattered across the galaxy, beautiful civilizations that had never needed to learn cruelty because they'd never faced it. That innocence was precious, worth protecting. Tell them to keep being who they are, she said. Keep making art, philosophy, beauty. That's what's worth fighting for. We'll handle the monsters. Nick nodded slowly. Earth's greatest export, what's that? Monsters who choose to be heroes. Kiza smiled faintly. It was true enough. Humanity had brought its violence to the stars, but also its compassion, its stubborn refusal to let evil go unopposed. They were the galaxy's sheepdogs now, and they'd chosen that role willingly. The Velosians had pleaded for mercy, and the monsters of Earth had answered.